Good evening and welcome to Cafe Vivo. This is the part of the evening where we interview and talk to a outstanding member of the local community. Unfortunately, we couldn't find one, so we have Andy Taylor here. Now, I did a bit of research, actually, and I wanted to ask you a question, Andy. Are you the Andy Taylor that was in Duran Duran? Do you know who Duran Duran are?
yeah, I did. I'm afraid, no, I'm not that Andy Taylor. I'm better looking than him.
Oh, well, okay, yes, I probably would have. Well, I don't know, actually. I never really fancied him. Great, thank you very much for coming and joining us. Now, a couple of things. We just want to go through your early life. Tell us a little bit about you know, where you were born and how you came to Basingstoke and maybe why you came to Basingstoke.
Okay. Actually, I'm a Londoner, Chelsea supporter.
Boo.
Half the room goes out, but we are top of the league.
Yeah, but not for long.
No, but I was born close to Chelsea, so they are my home team.
Are they still in the same place as they were when you were born?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
And actually, to be honest, I was a bit of a wimp as a child. I was part of the baby boomers, one of the last baby boomers. For those of you too young to know what a baby boomer is, after the war, when all the fellas came back from the war, they all got married, had families and had lots of children, and there was a big boom of children after the war, and I was on the tail end. Youngest of three children. My brothers were both quite a bit older than me. They were both superb footballers.
Play for Chelsea?
No.
Okay.
But my oldest brother was offered a trial with Tottenham, and
they got stuffed by Liverpool today.
They did.
Any Tottenham supporters in the house?
Mm-hmm.
Any Tottenham supporters in the house?
Yeah.
Ha ha!
Yeah.
Liverpool beat you. Yes, go on.
But
Sorry.
so both my brothers were superb footballers, and my next one up was 3 years older than me. So when I got to my primary school, they wheeled out the third of the Taylor dynasty to see me, and out I went to yet another Taylor, and I couldn't kick a football.
Oh, okay.
And that was the beginning of my feet. I really was quite a wimp. I couldn't kick a football. I was frightened of just about everything. Spiders, the dark. I was allergic to just about everything. I couldn't do anything, and I felt quite inferior as a child.
So you came to Basingstoke.
Yeah.
Can I ask you how you got involved in the church, in leadership and that kind of stuff?
The way I got involved in leadership, this is a method of bringing someone into leadership that should be totally never used again. I've been here about 2 years. I'd never led anything in the church except I'd aspired to the height of assistant house group leader.
Wow, that is quite a high calling.
And the community church was quite large in those days, and it was in the time of miners' strikes and power cuts. And one year we were at Richard Allworth School meeting, and they couldn't heat the school in the winter, so we had to split. And we thought perhaps we'd have to do this in the long term. And this all these big leaders came to Basingstoke and had a powwow. And out of it, they decided something, and they called together a group of men and said, we decided to split into 6 churches, and these are the guys who are going to lead it. And I'd never led anything, but I was one of those names for some reason. And they said, and what's more, you've got 24 hours to make up your mind whether you're going to do it, whether you got the calling of God. And that's how I became a leader.
And you did it.
I did it, yeah, just about.
So was that the main thing we want to focus on in our talk, really, is kind of where you've gone on from there in terms of being involved in local projects, and we want to go through some of the stuff you're doing with sort of Starfish and that kind of stuff.
Okay.
But how did you sort of go from being a wimpy, scared of spiders kid into, wanting to serve, wanting to be involved in local community projects, that kind of stuff?
I'm a pretty ordinary guy, and I'm a sort of jack of all trades, master of none. That's my skill in life. And I just look back over my life and I just see, I'm ordinary, but I just see the way God has worked in my life in extraordinary ways. right the way through. I mean, my coming to Christ was through a road accident where I knew I should have been killed, and I wasn't. And I just had this profound sense that God wanted me alive for a purpose. And that's driven me all my life, that ever since then, that God wants me alive for a purpose.
So what would you say to someone who felt in a if you were to be standing in front of you now and said, what advice, what help would you give? What would you kind of offer? Was there anything you would sort of suggest?
I think you've got to never think more highly of yourself than you should, because I think that's really important. And I've learned, one of God's principles is the way up is down, and if you go downwards, God always pushes you up. If you try and go up, God will resist you. But that is a principle I would always give to anybody: is go down and God will lift you up.
So, excellent. All you young people over there, if you're listening, listen to this guy. Yeah. Words of yes, and you, Abby Bastin. Yeah. Excellent. Thank you very much. So, talking of going down and then up, there was a significant up in your life recently, wasn't there? A rather large mountain.
Yes.
Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Well, for about 25 years, I've been sort of dreaming, and saying, one day, I'm going to climb Mount Kilimanjaro. And about a year ago, almost exactly a year ago, one of my projects is the Camero Centre, and I did a bungee jump for the Camero Centre, and I like to do things that take me out my comfort zone every so often. And so I did a bungee jump at the pub, the White Hart pub.
Out of your comfort zone? Yeah. Is there nothing between kind of sitting on the sofa and a bungee jump? Yeah.
Well, a bungee jump is a good way of raising money, because all you have to do is fall over and the money rolls in.
Oh, excellent. Oh, we've been doing the wrong thing, guys. We should be doing that. Fall over and the money rolls in.
Exactly. And my daughter Pippa, who's also a bit of an adventurer, was there watching. And at the end of it, she said, "Come on, Dad, what's next then?" And so we talked about it, and I said, for about 25 years I've been saying, and I suddenly thought, actually at my age, there aren't that many one days left. So so she said, "Come on, Dad, let's do it." So we decided to do it. So last February, the two of us, she's 36 at that time, we went off together and climbed Kilimanjaro. So that was...
Easy?
It was probably the most difficult thing I've ever done in my life, and I was...
Lots of spiders?
No spiders, no very, very little wildlife all at that height. But I was really ill at the top, I must say. I was so ill at the top I couldn't enjoy myself at all, and one of the guides said to another member of the party they were worried I wasn't going to survive it. So I was ill, but I made it.
We're glad you did. Excellent. Okay, so you probably noticed you've got a couple of things on your tables. One is a what's the point, and the other one is the little card with Money, Lifeline, Oasis on there. Yeah. Tell us a little bit about some of the things that you're involved in at the moment, and also I think what might be important, if people are interested, maybe tell us how they can get involved.
Okay. One of the things that God has said to me, excuse me those of you who aren't Christians, but God talks. I talk to God and he talks to me. So one of the things he said to me many years ago was go and serve the little people, which sounds a bit condescending, but he was actually saying don't try and go up there, go down and help those people.
So you mean working in the community, that kind of stuff? In the community,
anybody with no power, no money, no influence, no education and so on. And that has opened a wonderful opportunity of fulfillment to go and help people. And since then, God has given so many opportunities. They've just hit me in the face. And the church released me to go and do this work. So on your, about 10 years ago, I picked this up. And I was released to go and serve. And these projects here, we were already working with the Pregnancy Crisis Centre at that time. And churches have always, I must say, churches have always been doing community, and we forget it. Wherever you go, churches have done youth groups, senior citizens lunches, summer projects. It's bread and butter for churches. But churches doing things together has been so important, and it's been something that has really is so important to me. It's not just my church, but the church going out there and serving the community. And when we do that, the doors just open all over the place, and this town is desperate for people who will go and serve.
Can you give us a very quick overview of the type of things you've done?
Well, we the first thing we did was a thing called BSOM. I'm not going to go through. If you see on your card, there's about 18 projects on there, which are pretty much all interchurch, have risen in the last few years, and I'm not involved in every one of those, but a whole load of them. So there was BSOM. There's debt advice. We run a debt advice service, which I don't do on a day-to-day basis, but it's fantastic. There's street pastors out on a Saturday night, Friday night with it, the Safe Hub. There's the Camero Centre, which is a day drop-in centre for the homeless, which isn't actually a Christian project, but there's so many Christians are involved, and it's really touching some of the poorest and homeless people in our town. I could go on for all night on those, but I won't.
So I think the key thing is to if you all guys listening, is the fact that you've really been involved in these projects and put a lot of time and effort and really get satisfaction out of it, and they can find the satisfaction.
I love it.
And so if anybody wanted to be involved in these projects, and there are a lot on here, how do they do it? I
should think just saying to you here and now, probably the easiest thing would be to contact me at the Basingstoke Community Church's office.
So could we put that as details on the Cafe Vivo site?
Of course, yeah, because then I can give you details of the people to get, because I don't run any of these projects, they're all run by other people.
Now we know.
I just sit here and talk about them.
Oh, well, you've done very, very well.
No, and I do work in some of them, like Street Pastors and Camero Centre and quite a few others.
The other leaflet that you'll see on there is this one. Do you know a little bit about this one as well?
Yeah. There's this is really the brainchild of a lady called Karen Blakely, who's sitting over there. And a few of you may know that remember a few years ago we did some talks called Science Faith Talks at St Mary's East Trot, where we got